Welcome to Wonderland, the podcast where I go down the rabbit hole to research things you may be curious about. My name is Amii, and I'll be your guide on this trip to Wonderland. Cheers! Thanks for joining me today as I go down the rabbit hole to learn a little more about the origins of a common American custom, happy hour. Have you ever wondered why we gather for drinks, why there are specials, and why it's called happy hour? Me too. Join me as we go down the rabbit hole and learn about happy hour this week.
I wonder.
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 So do you know what happy hour is?
Happy hour is a period of time at a restaurant or bar that has reduced prices to bring in usually before the dinner hour.
Yes, typically a given time where people get together at a bar or restaurant, drink specials, meal specials, socialize.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a bar, usually 5
After
to
work,
7,
5 to
after
7.
work. Yeah, have drinks.
Yes, it's a specific hour in a business's day, typically restaurants, bars, where you can get discounted drinks.
Boy, do I. Happy hour is usually from 4 to 6, and you get some discounted drinks.
How would you describe happy hour?
It is the best hour of the day, and it's the happiest hour of the day because you get to drink for cheap.
Happy. Everybody drinking and venting about their day.
Fun.
Wow.
On a budget.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Most adults are familiar with the idea of happy hour as a time to commiserate with coworkers over a discounted drink after work. Typically, bars will offer drink specials for specific time after work hours, but before dinner really picks up as a way of enticing folks to patronize them during slower times. When and where do you think happy hour may have originated?
No idea.
The Romans?
Margaritaville, around 5 o'clock.
I do not know.
New York City? Yeah,
The stockbrokers.
that's a good one. Yeah, something like that. And
I'm probably wrong. When? Oh.
maybe like
It has to be post-depression, right? Because wasn't post-depression, they couldn't... Was it
Prohibition.
during Prohibition?
was like
I
right
wonder-
before the Depression.
I wonder if it was during Prohibition, so that they would get together in like hidden places. And...
This is one of those questions that is kind of up for debate, but one generally accepted origin of the term happy hour may actually be courtesy of the U.S. Navy. The name Happy Hour Club or Happy Hour Social Club and other similar variants have been used by various women's clubs going back to the early 1880s, and in 1913, a group of homemakers called the Happy Hour Social organized semi-weekly events on the USS Arkansas to help combat the boredom of being at sea. This scheduled period of time where sailors could relax and enjoy different activities, such as boxing and wrestling or music and dancing, became something that they looked forward to, and by the 1920s, these happy hours were being held throughout the Navy, not just on the USS Arkansas. But, as some folks have guessed, there was a little something called Prohibition happening around the same time that took this from being gatherings on ships for exercise and fun to something closer to what we're familiar with today. Prohibition lasted from 1920 until 1933 and made the manufacture, transportation, and sale of alcohol illegal across the entire United States. This ban, however, did not stop people from finding ways to gather and enjoy their favorite cocktails in secret at speakeasies. Because they could no longer have a drink with their dinner, however, it was common to go to their local speakeasy after work and before dinner, much like the happy hours we enjoy today. So we know where the name came from and how alcohol became associated with it, but why the discounted drinks? Courtesy of Prohibition, the concept of happy hour had caught on to the general population by the mid-30s, but it wasn't until after World War II that discounted libations became a staple of these happy hours. Bars and restaurants wanted to bring people back into public again and regain a sense of normalcy, so they began offering drink specials during happy hour to entice folks to come out. By the 1980s, happy hour, with its discounted drinks, was a staple of the American workers' evening. But do you think other countries have happy hours?
it sounds like an American thing. have it, but not all other countries.
I believe that's an American thing, at least the name happy hour.
I feel like it's an American thing.
I don't think it's just United States. Definitely not worldwide universal.
I would assume that many countries have a happy hour.
Yes, absolutely other countries have that time of day where they come together to share a drink after work. While the term happy hour may not directly translate, coworkers and friends definitely gather after the workday for a drink or two. And if you happen to be enjoying happy hour in another country, keep some of these things in mind. When in Turkey, you can order a beer by saying "Bir bira Lütfen," but be sure not to clink the top of your glass with another's when you toast. This implies you think that you're better than your mate. And if you're in Hungary, be sure not to clink your glasses at all, as this is an extreme offense. And as loud and crazy as Americans are, apparently in Korea, you can expect a rowdy karaoke happy hour more often than not, so be sure you're ready to sing more than just your order. If you're enjoying happy hour in Brazil, be sure to pour your drink into a cup, so as not to be considered rude by drinking directly from a bottle or can. Happy hour is technically illegal in Ireland since 2003's Intoxicating Liquor Act, but if you have the pleasure of partaking in after-work drinks in Ireland, be sure that when your pal goes to the bar to order your Guinness, that you're sure to get the next round. Ireland is apparently big on rounds culture, so only one person has to go to the bar at a time. Ireland isn't the only country with happy hour bans. In parts of Canada, all promotional drink prices must end by 8 p.m. and must conform to price regulations. In the UK, their national mandatory licensing conditions, introduced in 2010, required prevention of irresponsible drinks promotions, effectively banning happy hour. So you can have a drink in these countries, but just not for promotional pricing. Do you think there are any states in the United States where there is no happy hour?
I'm not sure. I would assume that it. Now I'm starting to think, is there a state regulation about happy hour? No, I think that happy hour is across the country.
Not that I know of.
Utah.
My guess would be Utah.
Like an organized happy hour where it's happy hour drinks from 5 to 7, or just people getting together after work to drink?
Like happy hour.
I would think they probably do.
Yeah. I couldn't see any state that wouldn't.
I mean, even like a Utah, I would still think there's people that do.
Okay, y'all, I have to tell you
Every
that
person
everyone
said
keeps
that?
saying Utah.
We know that the U.S. is big on happy hour in general, but believe it or not, happy hour is actually illegal in several states. Massachusetts outlawed the practice back in 1984, and since then, 11 other states have banned or regulated happy hour. Those states? Alaska, Delaware, Hawaii, Indiana, Maine, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Utah, and Vermont. Some states previously had restrictions on happy hours, but lifted them in the last decade. In 2012, Kansas ended a 26-year ban on happy hour, and in 2015, Illinois ended their 25-year ban. So, depending on where you are in the country, you may or may not be able to enjoy after-work drinks for a discount. What is your favorite thing to order at happy hour?
A pina colada.
Corona.
Something fruity.
Something on draft.
Coors Light.
Honestly, it'd be whatever's on special for that. So beer would be good.
While most people will drink whatever the special is, a national survey indicated that 41% of happy hour goers say they preferred beer, 31% said to pour them a glass of wine, and 28% preferred liquor as their post-work drink. What is it about happy hour that people like so much?
I've never been to a happy hour, I don't think.
I don't know if that question applies to me. It's a less expensive way of hanging out with your friends.
I usually don't go to a happy hour because I have to go home, but we've done it here a couple of times back when I first started, but just getting to hang out with your coworkers during the happy hour and get a couple of drinks and then go home.
So the reason I like to go to happy hour is because I get to get along with my friends, and we get to vent about the day and our woes at work or woes in our personal lives, and we get to just enjoy ourselves.
I like happy hour for this. It's a good chance to catch up with people you haven't seen in a long time. I like that kind of happy hour better than going with people that you work with all the time.
It was nice for kind of a getting to know people that you didn't know before. And so, like other coworkers that you're like, well, they're great, they're out of office, you're like, oh, okay, they're kind of a cool person, kind of thing.
The reasons are plentiful, but certainly the spirit of camaraderie permeates through everyone's purpose of heading to the local pub. When done responsibly, it's a nice time to catch up, or to vent, or just unwind before heading home. And I, for one, always appreciate the time to bond with my coworkers outside of work or meet up with friends who I haven't seen in a while. It may have started as boxing and dancing for sailors, but happy hour has certainly continued to live up to its name. Thank you so much for joining me for this quick trip down the rabbit hole. I hope you've learned something, and maybe next time you're at happy hour, you'll be able to supply some fun trivia for your friends. Just be sure to tell them to come listen to my podcast after you're through. And always, always drink responsibly. Please utilize designated drivers, Uber, Lyft, and any other resources available to you when consuming alcohol. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and stay curious. The Welcome to Wonderland podcast is copyrighted by Amii Bland and is a product of Barrett Gruber Entertainment and Media. This podcast is recorded in the Maddie Johnson Podcast Studio at GOT Sound Studio in Columbia, South Carolina. Any thoughts or opinions expressed as part of this production are those of the host unless otherwise indicated. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Please follow, like, and share this podcast. Find us on Facebook at Welcome to Wonderland the Podcast and on Twitter at Wonderland_pod. To submit corrections, additional information, or request for episodes, please email the host at welcometowonderlandthepod@gmail.com.